Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about shame, the difference between shame and guilt, different categories and types of shame behavior, different ways people cope, and suggestions or ideas on ways that you can start healing. I wanted to do kind of like a series thing for like the inner child and slowly starting to heal. And getting away from that. So I thought that shame would be a good place to start because it affects so many different parts in our lives. So yeah, let's just get started. So the difference between shame and guilt. So guilty people know that they're good people, they just did something wrong. Guilt inspires people to take action, and guilty people who feel guilt are able to adapt to others' perspectives easier. They're able to show greater compassion to those in need, and they're better at handling their anger. People who feel shame withdraw and avoid. They experience heightened anger. They externalize blame. They hold others responsible for their failures, and they rage and resent against the world. So Dr. Bryn Jessup said that shame has to do with the negative feelings we feel about ourselves, and it is activated anytime we are challenged or frustrated. He also said that shame is an existential feeling of unworthiness. When we feel shame, we feel we are ultimately inadequate or an unworthy person. So some symptoms of shame are wanting to disappear, doing anything you can to pull out of connection with somebody, anger, blaming, self-blame, addiction, feeling sensitive, feeling unappreciated, feeling uncomfortable, feeling like you have little impact, worried about what others think about you, worried that you aren't being treated with respect, worried that you are being taken advantage of. The last two are you may start to be a little bit of a perfectionist, or you might feel like you're an outsider, you feel left out, or you feel different. So next we're going to talk about the difference between shame and toxic shame. So shame is our sense of self, and it cuts deeper. It lingers long after we've made amends and apologized. Toxic shame is the same way, but it starts to contaminate the way that we see ourselves. So toxic shame is a feeling that you are unworthy. Everything points back to you. You feel that you are useless and you feel you are not as good as others. Toxic shame can come from being told constantly that you're not good enough. It can also come from the type of feedback that you're given. So the example that they had on the website was if the first scenario would be if a little boy pees the bed and the first mom doesn't make a fuss, is very kind, very gentle, very forgiving, tells him that it's okay, that it happens. Or the second scenario, the mom makes a huge fuss, asks what's wrong with you, why do you always do this, and gets angry, and toxic shame starts to form when that second scenario is constantly happening. So some symptoms of toxic shame are very similar to regular shame: withdrawal or wanting to disappear, anger, trying to aim that pain away from yourself, not being able to trust others, not wanting to be the center of attention, shutting people out, feeling like you can't be your true self, trying to hide yourself, losing your identity, feeling inadequate, or feelings of regret. So these are just some things that people could do if they are feeling shame in the presence of another person. I know this isn't like always true because I don't find myself doing any of these, or at least the more noticeable ones in the presence of other people, but like not making eye contact, looking down, head hung low, slung shoulders, talking with a subtle voice or stuttering, frozen or unable to move, or trying to hide yourself. Or the big one that I find myself doing is crying when you feel shame or embarrassment. Now we're going to talk about the 4 categories of shame behavior. So the first one is the hot response, and it is anything that we'll do when we feel ashamed or defensive, such as lashing out in anger or attacking another person to deflect the attention away from you. And this is usually an impulsive reaction. The next one is behaviors to cope with or conceal with shame, such as making yourself feel small, trying not to be the center of attention, not sharing your thoughts or feelings, because concealing yourself is a method for self-protection. So the third one is safety behaviors to avoid shame or avoid being discovered. So such as crying, apologizing, avoiding conflict. People who are more likely to be emotional or avoid conflict are more likely to participate in the safety behaviors. The last one is behaviors to repair shame. So this is anything like apologizing to others or soothing yourself. So the example that they had is if you forgot something, you might tell yourself that you had a lot on your mind, or you make gestures to show someone that you're sorry. There are many different types of shame, but I wrote down 5 different ones. So the first one is transient shame, and it is that fleeting feeling that you get when you make a mistake, and it usually passes quickly and doesn't create any problems. The next one is chronic shame, and it is that feeling that is always with you, that you are not good enough, and it impairs functioning and mental health. It's still hot. The third one is humiliation shame, and this is the most intense form of shame, and it is when we are critically embarrassed, and we usually get those feelings when we're in front of other people. The next one is shame around strangers. So this is the feeling that they're going to figure something bad about you, and this is usually common with social anxiety. The last one I have written down is shame about self, and it is that ultimate feeling that you are an inferior person, and this is also a type of chronic shame with lasting effects. So some causes of shame are childhood neglect or trauma, any mental health issue that we have that involves self-criticism or judgment, not living up to our overly high standards that we set for ourselves, if we are victims of bullying, feeling like your flaws or inadequacy are going to be discovered, expectations not being met or experiencing failure, and rejection or weakening of relationships. These are just some impacts of shame. So the constant feeling that something is wrong with you, social withdrawal, it can lead to addictions, it causes you to be defensive and shame others, and if you were bullied, it may lead you to bullying others. So some more impacts of shame is it will cause you to inflate your ego so that you can hide that belief that you do not have value. It may lead to physical health problems. It can be related to depression, sadness, and may leave you empty, lonely, or worn out. It can also lower self-esteem and make it harder to trust people. You might start having feelings of perfectionism or people-pleasing. You avoid talking or are afraid to say the wrong thing, and it may cause compulsive or excessive behaviors. How we can start by testing our shame and figuring out where it's coming from is just by sitting down and asking questions. So explore every aspect of it. So I think what a good idea would be is think about something that you're shameful for and write down this way, like, where it comes from. So it can go so deep, and I think that that exercise is so helpful, and you can actually see where it stems from, and that it is not your fault at all. It all stems from something. Inner child problems are always from something else, not ourselves. We don't just happen to be that way. So understand what it is all about, where it comes from, maybe who it came from or what belief it came from. How does it affect your current life and your decisions? Pay attention to your emotions in different situations. When are you triggered? Who are you around when you're triggered? Like, what is happening in the moment? How does the past shame still occur in your life? What did it teach you about yourself? So you can, if you do the activity where you start out with the situation that you feel shame, and you layer that back to why, and why you did that, or why someone else did that, or anything like that, and what did you learn from it? What can you teach yourself from that so that you can grow and heal from shame? During this time of healing, self-compassion is extremely important. So showing yourself that you're worthy of love, you're able to heal and grow is so extremely important. So understand yourself, be honest with who you are, and be honest with your healing process, especially around others. If you feel you're having a bad day and you start maybe lashing out in anger, or just let them know, sorry, I'm healing. It takes a while, but don't lose faith in yourself, because your relationship with yourself is the most important. Compassion is the antidote to shame. Self-compassion neutralizes shame and starts to remove the toxins that created it. So feeling compassion cannot release you from any responsibility or action, but it can release you from negative self-talk, which prevents you from forgiving yourself. Start thinking of lessons in every situation. You can use affirmations to practice self-compassion. So the affirmations that I always use are: I am calm, I am peace, I am centered and balanced, I surrender, I am now free, and I am filled with endless love. And all of these are definitely easier said than done. I think that you just have to want to heal and know that it is for your benefit and that it is for your relationship with you. So by starting these things, we can start to feel better. I know that some days it's hard for me to even want to feel better, or it may, I don't know, it kind of feels like you're going in like this loop, and you really don't find the point in getting better, because especially if you're not happy in like the situation, let's say your living situation, your job situation, your relationship situation, especially if you're not happy with those, why would you want to work on any part of yourself? Because I mean, there's just no energy or motivation anywhere in your life. So how do you form that out of nothing? And I really don't know. For me, I have this constant wanting to learn and to better myself, no matter how hard it is. I definitely haven't got far, but dealing with your shame is definitely a very good first step, because to be honest, I've hurt others, but they're living their best life right now, and I think that it's unfair for me to not do the same. So I think that it is kind of a good thing that we feel shame, because we're feeling something for the actions that we did to hurt somebody else. But I feel like the pain has put us through enough already, and I think that we deserve happiness. So forgiving yourself for whatever you did is so important, because don't waste your time, and learn the lesson. But we only live once, and I'm still coming to terms with that, but understanding that we shouldn't live every day in misery and self-hatred, because why, you know? So basically, like, big ones are learning to love yourself, doing things that make you happy, that make you feel good, develop a relationship with yourself, make connections with others. One thing that I found that was super interesting on the website that I found this information was journal prompts. So like 1-a-day journal prompts, and they had a different one for every day of the week. So I thought that this was really helpful. So Monday is something that I did good today. Tuesday, I felt good about myself when. Wednesday, I had a positive experience with. Thursday, 3 good things about me. Friday, something I did for somebody else. Saturday, today I achieved. And Sunday, today I overcame. Something that I find helpful is separating yourself from your mind, or separating yourself from your inner child, separating yourself from any of those feelings, judgment, anger, hate, irritability, separating yourself from those and know that it's not your fault and that those are just reactions of what that you've been through. So by separating yourself, you're able to really focus on who you truly are and just say, that has nothing to do with me. I'm a different person. Those are just feelings that I feel. That's not my soul. That's not my heart. And it's definitely easier to get through the day like that. So I'm just going to read this off my flashcard, but think about why you behaved as you did when you were hurting. Your mind formed a response to your stress, and you reacted in a way that was going to protect you. And I think that's very powerful, because we all have reasons for why we act. If we're angry, there's a reason. We're not just angry. Even if we don't feel that anger, like if we don't feel that possible reason why, and we just think that we're angry, there's deeper stuff going on. So another thing you can do is write a letter to yourself, write a letter about, or to the people that you've hurt or somebody that's hurt you, and explain why they hurt you, why it left an impact on you, how it's affected your life, how you've learned from the experience, how you hope to heal, maybe where you see yourself in a couple years with the healing process. So yeah, that's all that I have. I think it's a very powerful topic and sensitive, because I think that we all need to heal, especially from our inner child stuff, because that doesn't rule our life anymore, so why let it rule our life? I think find something that separates you from those feelings of shame. Alright, that's all that I have. I hope that it helped in some kind of way. I'm not too good at explaining my feelings, so I just don't know how to label them, so I can't really go deep into my feelings of shame. I know that my experience with it has a lot of anger. I hold a lot of anger, so I think that any type of shame that I have comes out in anger, irritability, inflation of the ego, or not having energy. So yeah, I definitely see it in my life, but yeah, I hope that you were able to maybe spot something in yourself, or got some ideas on ways that you can start healing. I do not know the answer to all. These are just what I researched. Yeah, I think self-forgiveness is probably the best tip, because we have to love ourselves. It's only us. At the end of the day, we die alone, so at least have a good relationship with yourself if you don't with anybody else. So you come first, and you're beautiful, and thank you for watching. I'll take my hot cocoa. That's a turtle. That was a turtle. Oh my god, that was a turtle. That was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life.